One of the hardest parts about building a roster for an affiliation you're new to is picking up the crisis cards. In this video, I'm going to go over every single secure crisis from worst to best for the Guardians of the Galaxy affiliation. Jumping right into it, at the very bottom of the list is Spider Portals. Spider Portals is easily our worst secure due to the fact that it's a pay-to-flip. Pay-to-flips are really bad for Guardians because we don't have any super mobile units, and we'd rather spend our action shooting instead of moving around flipping points, and we just don't really have anyone that really likes to dance around the board flipping points. Cosmic Ghost Rider, that would help on the secure because it's a D map, and Cosmic Ghost Rider is very good on Ds, and that's where he's helping us out the most. But the problem is he is also super bad on pay-to-flips because pulling people off pay-to-flip doesn't deny them the victory point because you also have to flip the point. And Cosmic Ghost Rider, when he doesn't have Psychosis, never wants to be spending power flipping points. This is generally just a really bad secure for us. It's fast scoring. X-Men are super good on it, and we are not. No one should really be playing this unless they're X-Men. It is just a really tough matchup for us, and it really makes it hard for us to lean in the Intrusion. Next up is Scoundrels, which Guardians suffer on mainly because of the cover and the fact that it's the fastest scoring secure in the entire game. The cover that the points get from characters that are contesting it makes it super hard for us to push through damage. Rocket and Groot, which is a big part of our roster, it just suffer really hard on this due to the cover. Cosmic Ghost Rider makes us definitely better than we were before, as he can sit in the middle of the board and use his chains to just pull a bunch of people off points if he goes last. But this is still not a great crisis for us. It is too fast of scoring, and it's hard for us to push through damage. It's not great for our attrition gunline team, and you probably should try to stay away from it. And after that, we have Extremis. This is definitely better now than it was before with CGR, as he can go up in the middle of the board and pull a bunch of people off, and he's extremely dominant on the D maps. But the rest of our team still struggles on the Ds a lot. Extremis specifically is not great because the healing that the points give off, and teams like Kingpin, X-Men, Sam still just operate a lot better than we do on this map. It's definitely not terrible as it was before, as with Cosmic Ghost Rider and Bill and all that. We can work the Ds certainly a lot better than we used to, as this used to be a much worse crisis. But it's still not great, and there's definitely better options. And next is Mayor Fisk. I honestly constantly forget this crisis exists. It's a very weird crisis that not many teams like to play, including us. At first glance, Witnesses seems like really solid for us. There's only 2 objectives, it's straight down the middle, it's not too fast, it seems great. But the main problem is the stun. Stun is such a terrible condition to have slapped on your whole team, and Cosmic Ghost Rider and Bill particularly hate having it as they're super power hungry, and mitigating their power anyway is just really weakening. This is honestly, it's pretty okay. We can do attrition on this, but the weird moving of the points and the stun is just, it's overshadowed by just the better options that we have going down the middle, like Gamma, Demons, Intrusions. They're just all better crisis to run, but overall, it's pretty okay. We can do pretty well on it. And then after that, we have Meteors, another uncommon crisis. We were actually pretty decent on Meteors. It's slow scoring, ends with a big scrum in the middle, and our pieces can threaten the midline round 1 really well with Cosmic Ghost Rider. 2 main cons of Meteors is it being a pay-to-flip, which we obviously don't like, and the points being diagonal means our opponent generally could score their home point easily turn 1 without much pressure from us. It's an alright crisis, but just play Intrusions. It's basically the same thing, but it's not a pay-to-flip, and it's just a better choice overall. We could do this better than most, but there are definitely teams that do it better than us, and we should probably just not play it. After that is Sword bases. Sword is a pretty okay out of the pay-to-flips. The points are closer together than most pay-to-flips, so we can actually rotate pretty well on this one. It's not too fast either. Only real problem here is that there are just teams that play it better than us, like all other pay-to-flips, X-Men and Sam, and we should just avoid the pay-to-flips altogether. The 15th threat might also be concerning if you're not prepared for the Malekith matchup, but overall, this is a pretty okay crisis. I'm not too much of a fan of the fact that it benefits the team that's scoring more points by giving a push to the other team. So it's not great. We never want to be rotating around points. We'd rather just be sitting and shooting and focusing on attrition, and this is something you should probably just avoid. Again, there's just better crises to choose from. And next up, we have Cosmic Invasion. Cosmic Invasion is very similar to Extremis, with the notable difference being that teams that like Extremis, like Kingpin and X-Men, generally don't like Cosmic Invasion because of the push that the points give off if you roll the triggers. The pushes can be used to push people into our gun line and into our threat range, and it's pretty good. It's a very solid pick. The only reason I don't have it ranked higher is because I just generally try to avoid the D maps because although Cosmic Ghost Rider can easily carry them for us, it becomes a little bit too much dependent on him. Cosmic Ghost Rider is a very dicey model, and when you're depending a lot of your strategy based around him doing well, it can really suffer when he doesn't. So I generally like to avoid the D maps. I'm not a huge fan of the 16 threat either. For my roster, that's kind of an awkward threat level. It's pretty good though. I think Intrusions is going to be just a better pick because it's slower than this, and it's all center lines. There's no home points for your opponent to camp on, and I think it's just overall a better pick than this, but this one's still very solid. Next up is Gamma Waves. Gamma Waves is an interesting one. After Malekith's release, most teams dropped Gamma because of how dominant Malekith is on Gamma at 15 threat. If you're going to run Gamma, just make sure you have a plan for Malekith at 15. Other than that, though, it's a pretty solid crisis. You know, it's an E-map straight in the middle. It's perfect for our gun line. People are forced to come towards us if they want to score more points. We can threaten that mid line really well. It's hard for people to run away with extracts because of the gamma damage they take if they're too far away from the shelters. Super good if you're splashing the characters that have beams, as beams are super good on Gamma because of how many people are close together. Overall, it's a pretty solid objective, and it's alright so long as you have a plan for Malekith at 15. Next up on the list is Mew and Madman. This is the only pay-to-flip that we can actually do fairly well. It's a B map, means it's really great for the gun line, as we can sit on our back B points, and then they're forced to come to us to help get more. It threatens people that want to charge the back points that your opponents control because of the damage they get if they aren't able to flip it. We're pretty great with it. Cosmic Ghost Rider is still not great on this crisis because it's being a pay to flip, so that is a downside. X-Men still runs this better than we do, same with Sam Vengers, so this is still not the best pick in the world, but it's pretty great. Other than those two, we run it really well. We have a lot of characters that can flip the points really well because it's a physical defense instead of energy, so we actually have a lot of great characters that can flip these points. If you're still splashing Hulk, this is a really great crisis. Hulk performs super well here. It's pretty solid. It's not as good as Infinity Formula is, so if you're not running Infinity Formula, you should just run that instead. It's just kind of the same thing, but better. Now the top three, meaning these three, are the crises that I think should be going into the Guardian roster. Number 3 being Infinity Formula. Infinity Formula is a really great shape for the gun line, being that B map. Like I said, very similar to Mew and Madman, except it is not a pay to flip, meaning we don't have to flip the points and we can just kind of sit back and shoot against a bunch of guys. Everyone that contests a canister gets an extra power during the power phase, which is super great for a lot of our people that can really get boosted by just one extra power, that being Cosmic Ghost Rider, Agent Venom, Gamora, Beta Ray Bill. All can just perform so much better with just one extra power in the power phase going into round 2. Cosmic Ghost Rider will always get the extra power, even if he has Psychosis, because this step happens before he gets the Psychosis token. So that's super great. It's super good on the gun line. People have to come to us if they want to score, if they want to break the parity and score more than us, which means they're just charging into our guns. With Cosmic Ghost Rider, you can easily just dive one side of Cosmic Ghost Rider and then hold off the other with all your guns. And it's super great. It's a really solid crisis, and Guardians do really, really well on it. For the number 2 spot, I have Intrusions. I've been going back and forth on whether or not I actually think this is our best crisis. With Cosmic Ghost Rider, we were able to easily threaten the entire midline round 1, so long as he rolls around 2 or 3 power. It is super great. It makes it super hard for our opponents to score anything round 1. Everyone has to come to us. It's only 3 objectives down the center. It's super slow scoring. This is just a really great crisis for our attrition team. Most games on Intrusions will end with just the entire enemy team being tabled and KO'd off the board. This is a super great crisis for us. The teleporting means that it's really hard for extract runners to just grab a bunch of stuff and run away, because no matter what corner of the board they run to, we can teleport to that corresponding intrusions and then get to them very quickly. It's super great against our tough matchups because people just have to come to the middle of the board, or else they won't score any secures, which means we can just shoot a bunch of them. It allows us to really go in a lot of different directions with our roster, and it is a super great crisis. And then finally, for the number 1 spot, our best secure is Demons Downtown. Now, obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy are probably the best team for demons. We play a gunline team, and this crisis favors guns over everything else. It's the slowest scoring crisis in the entire game, and punishes people for securing it by giving out Incinerate, which we get around by having multiple models that are immune to Incinerate. We also have Rocket and Groot combo, where Rocket can take the Incinerate, and then he puts all the attacks into Groot, so then it doesn't even matter that Rocket had the Incinerate. It's just a super great crisis for us. I'm sure this isn't a surprise to you. Guardians are pretty famously known for being just super punishing and really good on demons downtown. It's super hard to score points on this. It's just a big attrition crisis, and anyone that tries to come towards the middle of the board will just get shot down by all of our many, many guns. Super great crisis. Definitely should be in every single Guardians of the Galaxy list. And with that said, I'd like to thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me. I'm going to make a extract version of this for Guardians coming out in the near future. If you'd like to see me do the same thing for another affiliation, please comment suggestions down below. And that'll be all. See you.